Hello everybody, today I'm gonna go over what's in a trial deck and what's in the quintessential set. I've been getting a lot of questions about what is normally in a trial deck and then also the quintessential set. So in order to have this discussion, I'm gonna go over the basics of a trial deck and then I'm gonna go into the quint set. So down below in the description will be a timestamp so that you can fast forward through that in case you already know what's in a trial deck. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use Data Live since Data Live already came out in English. A basic trial deck has 50 cards in it. You're going to see 20 types of normal non-flashy cards and they're marked the serial on there. It will have a code of TD at the bottom. There will also be 7 parallels. I'll explain that in a minute. Included in this trial deck is a playmat and then also an instruction manual. There are 7 parallels in the Data Live trial deck. Those consist of 2 super rares, 2 special rares, and 3 triple rares. As you can see here, here's an example of the confrontation with humans Toka, and on there you can see the rarity is TD. It's displayed right here. Down below, this is the parallel variant, which would be the special rare, which is the sign card for this trial deck. We also have here, so I just wanted to show you examples of all this stuff. So here are the 2 super rares that you would get in the trial deck. Here are your 3 triple rares, and here are your 2 special rares. You may be wondering, how do I get these flashy special triple rares or SPs? And I'm glad you asked. What actually happens inside of these things is you get a trial deck. The trial deck is just one out of a display, and as you can see here on the left, this is a display of Data Live trial decks. I also showed a picture here from the side view. You can see it says contains 6 trial decks. I didn't have a 6 available Data Live trial deck, so I put Magia record here, but you can see how these line up inside of the box. So you'll have 6 in them, and normally within this box of 6, one of these will have either a triple rare or an SP. Sometimes there are cases where you'll have it a triple rare and an SP. So maybe 2 out of the 6 will have something nice, but I'm just going to talk the normal scenario. You're going to have 1 out of these 6 have a triple rare or SP. So again, when you think about it, that means you have a 1 in 6 chance of getting a special card. We're going to go a little further than that, and as you see here, this is what a carton of trial decks looks like. So you will have inside of here 8 actual displays. So again, if you're doing the math, we got 48 trial decks inside of this thing, of which, of the 8, you will have 6 being triple rare and 2 being SPs. And I say this in the normal case. Again, you may have a box that has, you may have a display that has a triple rare and SP, but let's just go with the normal case scenario where you're just going to get 1 in each. When you go and try to open trial decks, you may have to open a few of these things before you eventually hit the SP. So you'll always get something shiny foily in there, which being a triple rare or an SP, but it's going to be a little rare, a little harder to actually pull that SP. So now that we talked through that, we are going to talk about the quintessential quintuplets. We have here the 5 trial decks that was in the Japanese version, and I've described this myself as the quintessential set is basically a jamming of all 5 of these trial decks together. And that's too simplified of an explanation on what this really is. Let's talk about the original Japanese trial decks that came out for the quintessential quintuplets. As you can see here, I wrote there's 51 cards. Even though Data Live and the majority of regular trial decks had 50 cards, the Japanese version of the quintuplets had 51 cards. They consisted of 18 types of cards and 6 parallels. So if you're wondering why I bothered to take the time to talk about Data Live, I need you to understand all of what I just said, because that feeds into this discussion here. If you didn't understand it, you need to go back or at least write a comment to me to explain it a little bit better. 18 types of cards, which is shown here off to the right in this chart. You can see them marked with a T. So that would be our trial deck cards, normal versions. The 51st card was actually a promo card that they threw in there. Looks pretty cool, and I have a picture of it later. Each girl then had 2 SRs, 3 triple rares, 1 SP, and 1 PR card. And the other reason I put this chart here is you could see there are some cards here that have 2 cards only. This is how many cards were included. Some of them had 2, some of them had 4. In order to play Weiss Schwarz, you're allowed to have 4 of every card in there, up to 50 cards. To make a playset for you to play with, you need to, at the max, have 4 of every card. So what normally ends up happening is when we talk about a trial deck playset, that literally means you need to buy 2 of these trial decks so that you can have 4 of every card. Here we go. Let's just start out with some cards. These are the SR cards that came with the trial deck themselves. So you know, when you went to open the trial deck, you were automatically going to get this per girl. So if you open the Miku, you're gonna get these cards and yada yada yada. You're gonna get those cards. Next thing we got is the promo cards. These were the promo cards in the back of the trial deck if you were to open them. Pretty cool looking, nice art, I enjoy it. It was nice that they threw that in. Some people didn't expect it to be there. It was on their product description, but some people don't read that, and it was a surprise, and it was a happy surprise. What we got next is our triple rares. So there was a lot of triple rares. Again, there's 3 types. Yotsuba actually has the nicer ones here. Well, I'm just talking about the look of the art. And the Nino, of course, that was hilarious when she did that. Here are your other triple rares. I think they're all really good moments. When I take a look at all these different cards, they all remind me of some good times in the anime. And last but not least, this is our trial deck SPs. And again, they're going to be one of those ones that are included in each quintessential set. You're gonna get one of these. If you were to go onto the Weiss Schwarz page and look up the quintessential set, you are going to see this description of what's inside of this thing on that page. And it's kind of confusing, so I wanted to break that out for you right now. Right here it says there's 90 types of cards, which is true. When you add this up, you get 90 cards, 90 types of cards, and they tell you how many of each copy you're gonna get. So again, what this actually means is your normal cards, this is your SR line and your triple rare line. If you were to add up this 30, it doesn't actually add up. You get 25. If you take a look at this 361 cards per set, if you do the math on it, it's 360. So what's really happening is you're missing the SP line. Right? That thing is completely missing. We also do know, like I showed before, there are going to be PR cards. So that 51 card inside of a trial deck that the Japanese set had, this is going to be included in there. And you're going to get 4 copies of each of them. So it bumps up this 361 to 381. And what I did then was I made a new revised chart, because this is actually what it's supposed to be. So in the end, this is what we have. We have 95 types of cards. That would be this line, this line, this line, and the PR line. The 30 parallels consist of your SR, triple rare, and SP. And in the end, you're going to get 381 cards per set. Is this just 5 trial decks crammed together? No, that was an oversimplification on what this set actually is. We know that each trial deck from the Japanese version consisted of 13 normal types of cards. And to make a playset of that, you needed to buy 2 trial decks. So that's what you were looking at. You were looking at 2 trial decks every time. We know that there are 2 SRs in a trial deck. So Miku had 2, Yotsuba had 2. And all you had to do was buy 1 trial deck for that. Again, with the Quintessential set, you're only going to get 1 copy of the SR. With the old JP set, you were getting 1 PR card and you just had to open 1 trial deck. The Quintessential set is giving you 4 of every PR card, so that's nice. We have 3 triple rares, and if you take a look over here again at my breakout, you are going to open 3 to 18 trial decks minimum. That's the minimum, because again, you may have a duplicate or something. So if you just have the magic hands and pull 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here and got all 3 trial decks, you're good. But if you didn't do that, you potentially had to open a minimum of 18 of these things to get it. When you take a look at the SPs, again, depends on your luck, you're opening 1 or 42. And how did I come to that? 42 is 7 trial decks. Yeah, 6 times 42. So if you just happen to pull the very last one of the 7th one, then you would get your SP. And then more than likely, I would probably open the next one. If it was a normal rate for the SP, I would open the last one to get the SP. But that's what you were looking at for the trial decks if you were to just buy it. So no, this is not just 5 trial decks crammed together. You could see the amount of different foils and cards inside of this thing. I think it's just an amazing value. Let's talk prices. The Quintessential Set sealed is going for 175 to 200. You may be able to find it less. I just did a quick check everywhere, and that's what I came out with. Another option to buy is to buy playsets by the girl. So if you just wanted Miku, if you just wanted Yotsuba, then you can buy them. But what is happening here is you're only going to get the normal type of cards, which is the ones that have that TD serial on it. And then you will only get the promos as well. You're not going to get all the flashy stuff. You're not going to get the SR. And because of that, the price for that is $30. When you think about it, if you were to buy a trial deck today, if it was $20 times 2, that's $40. But again, what you're missing is those SRs that were included, those 2 SRs. And the other thing you're missing is a chance at a triple rare or an SP. Number 3, you could get play sets of triple rare, SR, TD, and promos. And you could do it again by girl. And I found that for $60 to $90. Again, the downside with number 2 and 3 is you are not going to get a chance at the SP. You're not getting it at all. They're going to just take it for themselves and sell it or keep it. My final thoughts about all this is one of the big complaints about the Japanese release is the 5 trial decks themselves. The biggest problem with that was it was really unpredictable who was going to buy what, right? I know there was a lot of people that like a certain character, and those characters would be bought. Some of these trial decks got bought, of course, because of the strength, the cards that you need inside of it, like Yotsuba or Ichika. So those were sold. But then what ended up happening was there was some trial decks that were left over in good amounts because of those factors. And what Bushiroad did this time around was like, they said, screw it. We're just going to jam these cards all together, and you're going to have to buy all of them. In the end, they were able to ensure that every girl sold an equal amount of decks. They're able to predetermine the print run, which in the end saves them money. They save on packaging material. They even save on the amount of cards printed. So if you actually, I did the math down here. If you, the consumer, wanted to buy a play set of each girl, again, that would be 2 trial decks, that equals 510 cards. The Quintessential Set is 381 cards. And the plus side as the consumer is you are getting all the foils without having to gamble. You don't actually have to just, open, 42 trial decks to actually get an SP. I mean, you could get it on one, but if you had a bad day, you might have to open 42 of these things to actually get one, right? You didn't have to open minimum 3 to 18 trial decks to get all the triple rares. Again, excluding duplication. Overall, this Quintessential Set is amazing. It's an amazing value. You get everything that you could want. Again, you may have wanted a play set of SRs or a play set of triple rares. You may have wanted that. Taking that out of the equation, it's amazing. You didn't have to open a whole ton of these, spend a lot of money. You're going to get it. And the best part is, if you only like a certain girl and you know somebody else that you want to play, introduce to Weiss Schwarz, if you know somebody that is a Quintessential Quintuplets fan and you don't want these cards, you can just give them the cards. It's going to be a really fun time because, again, what I always thought of Weiss Schwarz is the whole waifu war thing. And this set is, to me, I haven't played a lot of the older sets, right? I came on later on, but Quintessential Quintuplets is exactly what I've always imagined this game would be. When I think about the anime, when I think about the card game, it's characters battling each other. And I have some really awesome cards to play with. and remembering all the good times from the anime. The next video I'm going to do about the quintessential quintuplets is going to be about what you should buy on a certain budget, and my thoughts anyways. You could do whatever you want, but I do have some ideas depending on your budget, what you should really look for. With that said, I hope this helps a lot and have a good night.